Hey VC, this is Michael. What I want to do today is go over some of my recent pickups, both new and used. So let's get to it. The first two are Keith Jarrett recordings, Shades and Survivor's Suite. These are from Jarrett's work with what is known as the American Quartet, which consists of Dewey Redman, Paul Motian, Charlie Haden. I was familiar with this group and their work, but I just didn't have any of their material on vinyl. And what led me to purchase the work on vinyl was an article by Ethan Iverson and his blog. His blog is called Do the Math. It's an excellent blog. I highly recommend it. Where he does a deep dive into basically the American Quartet, and it's called Shades. I believe he said it was like 12,000 words. So I printed it out, it's like 30 pages. But what's really good, you don't have to go through it and page by page. You can hop around because he has it broken down by recordings. So, if you want to look up Shades, you go to Shades. You want to look up Survivor Suite, you go to Survivor Suite. And he goes through each of the tunes. You want to go to Treasure Island, 1974. And he gives you a really good overview. So if you're familiar with him, there's something for you. And if you're unfamiliar with these recordings, there's also something for you. So check it out. I'll put the link in the description below. It's ethaniverson.com. The next recording I picked up was something that I'd had in my collection in CD. I probably have like 3 CDs for various reasons, but it's Branford Marsalis, Scenes in the City. This was his first recording, and it has a number of excellent musicians: Ron Carter, Mo Grew Miller, Sharnette Moffett, Jeff Watts, Marvin Smitty Smith on drums. It's also notable for the cover. That cover is, of course, his take on Led Zeppelin's Physical Graffiti. And also what's notable, the title is Scenes in the City, so there's a version of Mingus's Scenes in the City. And the person that does the narration on it is, I believe, a high school classmate of Branford's, Wendell Pierce. You guys should be, maybe some of you are familiar with Wendell Pierce if you've seen the show The Wire or Treme. He played Bunk Johnson on The Wire, and he played the musician Antoine Batiste on Treme, and he's also in the Amazon Prime show Jack Ryan. And the version of Mingus's Scenes in the City is excellent. Actually, it was the first version of Scenes in the City that I had ever heard back in the day. And of course, maybe you'll track down the original, which is also fantastic. But there are a number of great cuts on this album. Some of my favorites is Solstice. Is just really an excellent performance by all the musicians. Branford Marsalis, Scenes in the City. And the next one is by the guitarist Kurt Rosenwinkel, and it's the Kurt Rosenwinkel Trio, and it's called Angels Around, and it's actually on Kurt Rosenwinkel's label, which is called Hardcore Records. Now, Kurt Rosenwinkel has been around since the 90s. He's from Philadelphia, and I'm positive he attended the same high school as Christian McBride and Questlove. There's one more musician who I cannot recall right now. But this is a trio recording with Gregory Hutchison on drums, and the bass guitarist I'm not familiar with, but his name is Dario Didia. And I'd say it's 6 songs, 3 on each side, 4 standards and 2 originals, one by Rosenwinkel, one by Didia. And there's Ugly Beauty, a Paul Chambers composition called Ease It, Joe Henderson's Punjab, Mingus' Self-Portrait in 3 Colors. I am thoroughly enjoying this recording. It is, Rosenwinkel is a guitarist, you could say, is influenced by Metheny, Frizzell, and Schofield, but he still has his own unique sound. I've always enjoyed his work since he came on the scene. My first time I heard a recording of his was he was on a Mark Turner recording. So, and Kurt Rosenwinkel Trio. Actually, I have a Kurt Rosenwinkel story. 2004, 2005, a friend of mine was getting married at her wedding. There was a trio, and I never made my way up to where the area where they were playing, but they were good. They were really good. And then when I was speaking to her husband, I said, that's a really good band you got there. He said, oh yeah, a friend of mine, he suggested them. He's some jazz guy. His name is Kurt Rosenwinkel. And then I did like a double take. I was like, Kurt Rosenwinkel? Yeah, I'm familiar with him. He's signed to a major label. He's on Verve Records. And, so 2004, 2005, when he was signed to Verve, he was playing weddings. But I think it was a favor for someone, so, And next recording I want to feature is Walter Bishop Jr., Coral Keys. This is on the reissue of the recordings of the Black Jazz label. This is really good. I'm so glad that they put these Black Jazz recordings back out on vinyl, because especially with someone like Walter Bishop Jr., who in my opinion was someone who's very under-recorded. This is an excellent recording with Idris Muhammad, Harold Vick, Woody Shaw. Solid playing throughout. I don't have much Walter Bishop Jr. on vinyl. The only other one that I have is this recording that was on Muse that I picked up a while ago for like $10. and Sam Jones, Al Foster, Bill Hardman, and Junior Cook. Most of the stuff I have of his is on CD. He had a little, I guess you could say, renaissance and late career. He recorded a number of recordings for the Japanese label DIW, and those are excellent trio recordings. I mean, they are so good. One is called Speak Low. So Walter Bishop Jr. actually had an opportunity to see him in the, I could say, early mid 90s. He was at a club in New York called Birdland, not the one in Midtown Manhattan. At that time, it was, when I saw him, it was on the Upper West Side. But it was not only notable to me because it's Walter Bishop Jr. playing, but the pianist Benny Green was there, who was one of the nicest guys. He's very approachable. And also, Arthur Taylor walked in, to check out his buddy. So you had A.T. coming to check out Walter Bishop Jr. So that was that's why I still remember that performance. Besides the music, next recording that I have is with Shirley Scott, One for Me. And this is a reissue of a recording that was done on the Strata East label. And it was also produced by Maxine Gordon, who was Dexter Gordon's wife. And the liner notes on here are excellent. This was a recording that Shirley Scott said it was the first time she got to do a record in the manner she wanted to do it. And it's thoroughly enjoyable. There's Harold Vick on tenor, Billy Higgins on drums, and there's Jimmy Hops on cowbell. It has that late night feel. You're in the bar and grill, you got your scotch, you got your bourbon, but it never veers into that cliche, organ trio type feel. And this is something that I've listened to, I'd say, at least 4 to 5 times since I've received it, and I just would highly recommend it. Shirley Scott, One for Me. Next up is 2 recordings on a label that I haven't seen featured on the VC that much, but they produced a number of excellent recordings. It's the Xanadu label. The first recording is by the pianist Dolo Coker. It's called All Alone, and you can surmise that it's all solo. And Dolo Coker, he has a number of recordings on this label, but he also played with Art Pepper. And he has his other recording on this label that I have is called California Hard, and it's a very good recording. Dolo Coker is someone you should check out. The next recording from that label I have is a classic, and it's one of this artist's best recordings in my opinion. It is Jimmy Heath, A Picture of Heath, Barry Harris, Sam Jones, and Billy Higgins. My favorite cut on this is on side B. It's a tune called Bruh Slim, and everybody acquits themselves very well on that tune. But you have great song compositions from Miners Only, Body and Soul, A Picture of Heath, And you also have Jimmy Heath classic CTA. So, you know, Jimmy Heath, Picture of Heath on Xanadu. The thing with the Xanadu recordings, you can find them under $20, and it's VG plus. As far as the recording, the album is concerned, the jackets, you know, they don't hold up that well, but under $20, and you're gonna get a great sounding record from the Xanadu label. And I have two, the acoustic sounds reissues, the Sarah Vaughan. This is magnificent, and it's so much better than the CD. I've had the CD. It was one of the early recordings in my collection, and this just sounds outstanding. Clifford Brown, Paul Corniche, the vice president on tenor, Herbie Mann. You've got Roy Haynes on drums. You know, over the years, my favorite song from this recording changes. Right now, it's the April in Paris, and that's just because the musicians how they accompany Sarah Vaughan. Each of them, they all get like a little solo with her, and they're all outstanding. So, this is just a beautiful recording. The remastering, it's really excellent compared to what I have, and I have the CD. The remastering of the LP beats that by a mile. And another reissue, MRC reissue done by Acoustic Sounds is the Clifford Brown Max Roach Study in Brown. One thing I'll say on this is Max Roach always hated when people referred to these as Clifford Brown recordings. Clifford Brown and Max Roach, A Study in Brown. And, Clifford Brown's playing is excellent. Max's playing is outstanding. Harold Land on George's Dilemma. This was the first time I became familiar with Harold Land's playing, and it's always been a favorite of mine because of this recording. A Study in Brown, Clifford Brown, and Max Roach. The next two recordings I picked up through Vinyl Me Please. And the first one would be the John Prine. And I became familiar with John Prine through Elvis Costello. Elvis Costello used to have a show, I think it ran for 2 seasons, called Spectacle. And I have it on DVD. And John Prine was featured in one episode, and that really got me interested in his work. And this is I believe this is his first recording, and there are just so many songs here that are just excellent in terms of songwriting. I'm looking at side 2, and the first song is Your Flag Decal Won't Get You Into Heaven Anymore. And that's a song, is somewhat relevant today. And we have Angel from Montgomery, 6 O'Clock News, which is a really great song. I don't really have the time to go into, what was behind that song, but excellent songwriting, excellent songwriter. And the other recording from Vinyl Me Please I picked up was Tough Guys, which is a soundtrack done by Isaac Hayes. And it was from a movie in which Isaac Hayes actually starred in. It was Isaac Hayes, Fred Williamson, and I can't even remember the third gentleman. But the movie is somewhat inconsequential. But the soundtrack, is very good. It's no Shaft, but he has his Shaft licks in there. And once you get past the title, the title tune, the title theme, it's a really good soundtrack, and I'm really enjoying it. So, and those are the recent pickups. I have a few more, and maybe I'll do another video on those. But those are my recent pickups. Take care, VC.